Good evening, everyone. We're ready to begin tonight's City of Gardena regular City Council meeting for July 24, 2018. Madam City Clerk, will you call roll, please?
All members of council are present.
Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, do you have anything to report from closed session?
Yes, I do. The City Council unanimously approved the settlement of the case of Bates versus City of Gardena for the amount of $99,000. That's an officer-involved shooting case.
Okay, thank you. At this time, we're going to begin with our Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by Daisy Rojas and Alexa Rojas. Immediately following that, if you can continue standing for our invocation, that will be led by the Reverend John E. Ward. So please stand.
Put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May we pray. Father, our God, our Lord, our Creator, our Sustainer, the one to whom we look for all we have. We worship and praise you because of who you are, and we give thanks to you because of all of the blessings you pour out into our lives. We ask, Father, that in your Holy Spirit you would preside over this meeting. We ask that you would gift each member of this council, each elected official, and each staff member with contentment through meeting their every physical need. Give them happiness through people they love who return their love, and give them joy through reconciliation and fellowship with you. Father, on behalf of every citizen of our family community, we ask you to guide your children, empower your children, and heal your children. We ask all these things in the powerful and eternal name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
You may be seated. If I can have our two pledgers, Daisy and Alexa, come back to the front. So tonight's Pledge of Allegiance was led by Daisy Rojas and Alexa Rojas, both the participants in the summer day camp at Freeman Park, which is sponsored by the City of Gardena Recreation Division. Daisy and Alexa are sisters, and they're students at 186th Street Elementary School. And in this coming year, Daisy will be a second grader. She's 7 years old. And Alexa will be a first grader who is 6 years old. So can you guys tell us who brought you to the meeting tonight?
My parents brought us to the meeting.
Where are your parents? If they can stand up or raise their hand. Everyone give them a round of applause. Thank you for bringing them out. And is there anything that either of you would like to say?
I would like to say thank you for bringing us to the meeting tonight to say the pledge.
Oh, well, thank you for doing it. You guys did a great job. And the little sister, would you like to say anything as well? No? Okay, we're going to let Big Sister say it all for you. All right, well, thank you guys again. Good job. And if I could have Reverend Ward come back to the front as well. So tonight's invocation was led by the Reverend John E. Ward, who is the senior pastor and minister of music at First Southern Baptist Church of Gardena, which is located at 1025 Marine Avenue. Reverend Ward has served at First Southern Baptist Church for almost 44 years. He was called to serve as the associate pastor in September of 1974 and was originally ordained as minister of the gospel in 1976 and has been the church senior pastor and minister of music since April of 1996. In addition to his preaching, teaching, ministry, and his music-related activities with his congregation, Pastor Ward composes, arranges, and teaches choral and instrumental music and is a freelance professional jazz trombonist. Reverend Ward also supports and participates in numerous City of Gardena programs and community functions. He and his wife, Nancy, have been married for 55 years. They have 4 children, 10 grandchildren, and 15 great-grandchildren. Pastor Ward, would you like to say anything?
That very nice bio was written by Nancy.
Obviously.
Members of the City Council, thank you so much for this honor, this opportunity to represent my church and Nancy. Thank you.
Okay, thank you again for leading us in invocation. So next we come to our presentations, and it's our new custom now that we honor a military veteran who lives or works here in the City of Gardena. And tonight, I'm going to let my colleague, Councilmember Medina, introduce who we're going to be honoring tonight.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm very blessed that I met Hector when I had hair a long time ago. And he's always been a volunteer for the City of Gardena, and I had to basically beat him down to sign up for this award, because we give the awards to every single veteran, every single council meeting. And I'm very proud of the fact that since 2014, I've been trying to get this through, and we finally got it through this year. And I'd like to thank Councilman Tanaka for giving me a second on that. And I'm going to go down and present this medallion, which honors veterans, especially from Vietnam, that were never thanked. And Mr. Burgos is going to receive a video of today's event. And our Honorable Mayor will give a bio as far as Hector is concerned.
Okay, so tonight we're honoring Hector Hernando Burgos, who was selected by Councilmember Dan Medina. Mr. Burgos was born in Medellin, Colombia, South America, and has been a resident of Gardena since 1963. He attended St. Anthony School, Perry Junior High School, Gardena High School, and Los Angeles College, and he studied police science. He's been married to Virginia Burgos since May of 1970. Burgos worked at Bank of America in the data processing position from December 1969 to April 1993, and was a network administrator at Automatic Data Processing from April 1993 to January 2017. His military career included Burgos served with the California National Guard from October 1970 to October 1977. His rank at the time of his honorable discharge was a E6 Staff Sergeant. His military occupational specialty was Senior Medical Specialist and Medical Corpsman. Burgos was awarded a Good Conduct Medal. Also of note, Burgos has been serving with the Gardena Police Department as a senior lead volunteer since November of 1997. Congratulations. Mr. Burgos, would you like to say anything?
Yes, good evening. First, I'm very humbled for this award. I have to thank Mayor Tasha Serna and also Dan Medina for nominating me, and also all the council members. This is certainly, it's not a surprise, but it's an honor that was, I was looking forward to this once I got that letter to appear tonight. And as far as my being a police volunteer with the Gardena Police Department, I want to thank Chief Kang and his command staff for allowing me to be part of the organization. It has been very fulfilling that I get to give back to the city through the police department, being that I live here, and I married my wife from Gardena. My kids grew up in Gardena. My grandkids grew up in Gardena. So, on Gardena with all of my heart. So, thank you.
Thank you. So we're going to move on to item number 3 here. Item number 2, we're going to postpone that until our August 14th meeting. So item number 3 is a certificate of commendation to Police Sergeant Sergio Bourbon, and this is a special recognition of his retirement after 30 years of service with Gardena. So please be patient with me. I have a quick little bio to read here. Sergio Bourbon was hired with the Gardena Police Department on July 31st, 1987, and attended L.A. County Sheriff's Academy. After graduating from the police academy and completing his probationary period, he joined the SWAT team and also became a traffic officer. He was eventually sent to motorcycle training at Golden West, where he was awarded Top Gun for being the most proficient motor officer during the 2 weeks training. Sergio worked as a motor officer for a total of 7 years. Sergio has also worked as a field training officer assigned to train new police officers. He was responsible for training more than 30 officers, some who didn't make the training program. He has worked in the Detective Bureau and was primarily a narcotics investigator, and then many years later as a traffic investigator. Throughout Sergio's career, he has been involved in training and mentoring new officers. He was one of the initial 7 officers assigned as a use of force instructor, also teaching arrest and control, defense tactics, and a driving instructor. Besides his busy police career, he took a part-time job at El Camino College as an adjunct faculty. He taught for over 15 years in their Administrative of Justice Department. Sergio was promoted to sergeant over 4 years ago and is currently assigned to patrol as a night shift supervisor. Sergio's hobbies are spending time with his family, running, riding his bike, and traveling. He's been coaching softball and soccer for the past 15 years. Sergio has dedicated the past 30 years to serving the citizens of the city of Gardena, and it's now time to take a break and discover new challenges in his life. Sergio Bourbon, you have left your mark on the city and the department and will certainly be missed. Good luck on your new adventures. So also, go ahead and clap. The certificate that he's being presented tonight, it reads, the certificate of commendation is being presented to Sergio Bourbon. It's an official acknowledgement with our deep appreciation for the 31 years of outstanding and exemplary service to the city of Gardena as a police sergeant with the police department. So we, the mayor and the members of the city council of the city of Gardena, are pleased to present this special recognition to you for your longtime service and express our sincere best wishes for an enjoyable and rewarding retirement, which is effective July 31st of 2018, and it's been signed by myself and the entire city council. Congratulations.
So I want to start off by saying thank you very much to the entire council, city manager, which was my chief for a very long time, Rodney Tanaka, worked with you, worked for you, and I know Dan Medina's, some of these guys I've known for really over 30 years, 31 years, because I know Dan Medina since I was a kid. So thank you very much for this this recognition and this opportunity to stand before you. In looking around, I would like to thank every single person that was able to be here. I know that there are some that aren't, that are watching via TV, but the people that I've worked with, this has been my family for really 31 years. I picked July 31st because that marked the 31st year of when I stood tall at the academy. Well, I was a little thinner too, but 31 years is a long time. The city, the people that I work with, those are that's my second family, and it's a bittersweet. I keep saying this. People, oh, how do you feel? It's bittersweet because I absolutely love my job. I would do it for free, but I won't be doing that. So, but I would. Honestly, it's bittersweet. I absolutely love this place. Still love my job, and the people. but it is time to retire. It is time to move on. You know, somebody else will step in, and you know, the name Sergio Bourbon will just be a name that's up on the wall, pictured maybe here and there. But the friendships that I made, I know that there's, I know Damaso is back there somewhere. You know, this is my best friend. We've done things that, well, we can't talk about everything, but we've done all kinds of crazy things. He's been there for me. I've been there for him. You know, there's a couple friends here that were from high school. It was a surprise. You know, Richard Conant, Michael Conant, and you know, those are things that are really, really important to me. I mean, they show up for me. I know Becky. We've known each other since high school, and again, it was great working with you for the time that we did. But you know, I have to say that you know, the people that stand real close to me at all times, and it was mentioned kind of like a little blurb in that bio. It's probably the most important people, which is my family. I've got my wife here, Eva. 3 of my 4 daughters, because the other one is in a camp for a book year. So she decided to sign up a book year camp down in San Diego. But my mother-in-law, and obviously very important, my mom, my sister. I know one of my other sisters is up in Vancouver. She couldn't make it. She would have loved being here. She kept asking me, what day is it, what day is it, what day is it? Dan knows her, Julissa. But, and, you know, of course, my dad, who passed away, he was a volunteer here. And so I've got a little bit of extended family. I know that my nieces are here. I appreciate you guys coming out, spending the time. Just like everybody else, but it means a lot to me. It means a lot because these are the people not only that have stood by me during the times that, you know, that I'm frustrated because of work, because of my hours, you know, my wife helping out with the kids while I have to sleep during the day, or, you know, it's everything. And these are the people that, you know, I'm looking forward to, you know, spending a lot more time with. And again, thank you very much for standing by me. Thank you to my brothers in blue and sisters, but I appreciate everything that all the memories, absolutely incredible memories, you know. But again, thank you very much.
Okay, next we're moving on to appointments. Does any member of the council have any appointments to be made to any commissions, committees, boards, or council at this time? If not, we're going to move on to the consent calendar. Does any member of the council wish to discuss any item separately on the consent calendar? If not, can I get a motion to approve the consent calendar as is?
So moved.
Thank you. Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Councilmember Kaskanian and a second by Councilmember Medina. Will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Kaskanian.
Yes.
Councilmember Medina.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Tanaka.
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson.
Yes.
Mayor Serta.
Yes. We have nothing for the Planning and Environmental Quality Commission action sheet because the July 17, 2018 meeting was canceled. So next we move on to oral communications. We have one speaker tonight, Ms. Rachel C. Johnson.
Good evening. Just one speaker? Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council, city staff. My name is Rachel Johnson, and my address is of record. Well, I'm here tonight to invite all of you to the next Gardena Holly Park Community Association meeting, which will be on August 2nd, next Thursday, at 7 o'clock p.m. in Raleigh Park Auditorium. The topic for August, it is a very provocative topic that I want all of you to come and join in and be a part of. The topic is human trafficking, what we can do about it as community members, and how can we keep our young people safe from falling into this lifestyle. Now, this is going to be a panel discussion, followed by refreshments. Of course, refreshments are very important. And our panelists include Emily C. Williams, and she's from Supervisor Mark Willie Thomas's office. And she's going to discuss what's happening countywide and the juvenile justice initiatives that are being implemented by the supervisor's office. We're also having Tara Hilliard, and she is the CEO of the nonprofit Forgotten Children Incorporated. Now, this nonprofit organization focuses on saving children and servicing and treating the victims of trafficking and sexual exploitation. And we're also going to have our own captain, Mike Safel, from Gardena Police Department. He's going to elaborate on what the city is doing, specifically how we investigate children that are endangered and crimes against children under 18. And so he's going to give our own police department's point of view regarding this topic. And so hopefully we'll see all of you here. And, you know, these topics, and like I said, it is a provocative topic. And if we save one person through community awareness by discussing this, then it would all be worth it. And, you know, these topics that we're talking about in the community association are generated by the community members. So we're doing something very different this year. These are community-generated topics. So we've talked about tobacco stores and e-cigarettes and the overproliferation of tobacco in our community. We've talked about group homes. And now we have community members that are concerned about trafficking and what's happening in our city and around our city. So hopefully I'll see all of you there again August 2nd at 7 o'clock at Raleigh Park. So hope to see you there. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Next up is item number 8A1, Mr. City Manager.
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, agenda number 8A1 is resolution number 6338, amending the list of authorized games and authorizing the play of certain games in licensed card club. On June 18, 2018, the Hustler Casino received written approval for the State of California Department of Justice Bureau of Gaming Control to begin offering the game Archie at the club. The approval by the state is subject to the adoption of a formal resolution by the City Council. These resolutions come in front of the City Council on a routine basis as new games are added. And there is an attachment in the resolution that talks about the number of games that are authorized for play at the casinos. There is no fiscal impact. The only thing that is required by the City Council is to adopt resolution number 6338.
Okay, thank you. Does any member of the council have any questions or comments at this time? If not, can I get a motion to adopt resolution number 6338?
So moved. Second.
Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Tanaka and a second by Councilmember Medina. Will you call the roll, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Tanaka.
Yes.
Councilmember Medina.
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Cascanian.
Yes.
Mayor Serta.
Yes. Next up is item number 8A2. Mr. City Manager.
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, agenda number 8A2 is a reappointment of representative to the South Bay Work Investment Board, or the South Bay WIB. The South Bay WIB provides guidance and oversight to employment and training programs established by the Workforce Investment Act of 1998. The WIB comprised of members of business communities, education leaders, labor, one-stop centers, employment services, rehabilitation, and nonprofit agencies. It is recommended the City Council approve the reappointment of Mr. David Fleck, Program Development Associate at Behavioral Health Services, to business private sector seat on the South Bay WIB for a 4-year term beginning August 1st, 2018 to June 30th, 2022. Mr. Fleck's term expired June 30th, 2018. The city received a correspondence from Jan Vogel, who's the Executive Director of the South Bay WIB, requesting that Mr. Fleck be reappointed to the private sector seat. Mr. Fleck is a current active member of the South Bay WIB and wants to serve an additional term if reappointed. The Gardena Economic Business Advisory Council has also recommended Mr. Fleck to serve in this capacity. City Council may appoint an individual who meets requirements of optimum policy-making authority with his or her business, holding an upper-level management position, etc., to the position. Staff recommends that Mr. Fleck be reappointed to serve on the South Bay WIB for a consecutive term. What is required is to reappoint Mr. Fleck to the private sector seat of the South Bay WIB.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions or comments? I have one question. Is Mr. Fleck on the GBAC board?
No, but as part of the screening for potential applicants, the GBAC board provided their input, so we presented to them first.
Oh, okay, I see. Okay, if there's no questions or comments, can I get a motion to approve the reappointment to the business private sector seat of SWIB?
So moved. Second.
Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Councilmember Cascanian and a second by Councilmember Henderson. Will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Cascanian,
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Tanaka,
Yes.
Councilmember Medina,
Yes.
Mayor Serta.
Yes. Next up is item number 8B1. Mr. City Manager.
Mayor, certain members of the City Council, agenda number 8B1 is ordinance number 1798, amending sections 15.44.022 and 15.44040 and ordinance 15.44050 of the Gardena Municipal Code to eliminate out-of-date cross-references. This is essentially a cleanup of a previous council action that adopted Title 15 of the Gardena Municipal Code relating to building codes. However, as we were looking through that, the contract building official advised the city staff there are a number of references to outdated cross-references and procedures that needed to be cleaned up. Amendment to the Gardena Municipal Code is required to correct outdated provisions. What is required is just to introduce the ordinance 1798.
Okay. Are there any questions or comments at this time? If not, can I get someone to introduce this ordinance number 1798?
I will.
Okay, Madam City Clerk, it was introduced by Mayor Pro Tem Tanaka. Next up is item number 8B2.
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, agenda number 8B2 is authorized payment in the amount of $30,601 to Tech Environmental Compliance Service for MS4 permit-related activities. Staff recommends the City Council to approve Tech's Environmental Compliance Services in the amount of $30,601 for municipal separate stormwater systems MS4 permit-related activities. The MS4 permit allows stormwater discharges into receiving water bodies. The Los Angeles Regional Water Quality Control Board issued MS4 permits in the Los Angeles area with a permit requiring a decrease in pollutants in the stormwater and urban runoff. The city received 2 invoices totaling $45,026 from TECS for the periods of January 1, 2018 through June 1st, 2018. A review of the invoices, which is attached, determined that $14,000 of that was for services not authorized by city staff nor solely for the benefit of the city. As a result, the payment of the invoices need to be adjusted to $30,601. Staff request City Council approve of techs for consulting services and payment of the invoices as the city does not have a valid agreement with this contractor. The $30,601 payment is the final payment for the services provided by TECS. The impact will be $30,601 to the general fund, and the required action is to approve payments to TECS Environmental.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions or comments at this time? Councilmember Henderson?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. City Manager, moving forward, do we have safeguards in place that ensure that the validity of a contract will exist and that folks cannot act as agents on our behalf without our authorization? Do we have those safeguards in place?
Yes, at the last several city staff meetings, I have directed all of the directors to ensure that all of their current contractual services agreement are up to date, and that we have all of those procedures in place so that services rendered on our behalf are within our control.
Thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Medina?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I'm assuming we're eliminating all the San Gabriel COG visits because they're not pertinent to the Gardena, right? Yeah, because I looked up all the numbers, and that doesn't seem appropriate for the city of Gardena. And I just wanted to double check that going to the San Gabriel COG wasn't pertinent to us. Thank you.
That is correct.
Mayor Pro Tem Tanaka, you had a question?
So how did we catch this 14,000?
The invoices were reviewed by staff and the city attorney to ensure that no one on this on staff directed those meetings for him to attend those meetings on our behalf. And as we scrutinize the invoices, which we do with a lot of invoices, we determined that the payment for services to the San Gabriel COG and others were not consistent with anything we requested.
And so there are no other charges that we were being charged that we found?
We have not received, and this should be the last invoice from this service provider.
He doesn't have a valid agreement?
He does not have a valid agreement. The last agreement, as I mentioned before in one of the previous council meetings, was in 2015. He has been doing work for the city of Gardena for about around 20 years without any agreements. You know, things are tightening up, and obviously we're putting forward making sure all of the service providers have agreements in place, which is good business and government practice.
I have a question. Before, I thought there were 2 more payments that were out there. So is it that we're disputing that other payment we thought it was, or do I have it mixed up, or?
Yeah, as I indicated in the previous, when I was asked that in the previous council, we have merged both of those 2 invoices into one. Okay. Which is the amount of $30,600.
And also, is the representative from this company, Tex, is he even here today?
He is not.
He's not. Okay. Again, like with the last one, I'm really, really not comfortable with paying this person here. I don't know how my colleagues feel about it. It's just so many inconsistencies with this company here. And I'm just, in my 9 years of being here on the council, this is the first time that I felt this uneasy about a contract, and knowing that it's coming out of our general fund, $30,000, $30,601. I didn't feel good about the last payment we made to them, and I certainly don't feel good about this payment here as well, too, just because, like I said, so many inconsistencies with this particular company, and, just moving forward here. So those are just my comments on it. Are there any other comments at this time?
Can I? Sorry.
Councilmember Henderson.
Mr. City Manager, in regards to the potential, let's just say if we decided, you know what, there's no agreement, we decide not to pay. If it goes to litigation, how much time and money would we spend in proving that there's no agreement and we don't think we should pay? Just rough estimate. Very rough.
That's a good question. I don't know if I really have an answer for that, or we could predict. Although this is difficult to accept, we do believe that the work that we're being charged for was completed. It highlights why, as government agencies, we need to make sure we have the proper procedures in place, the proper agreements in place, because we're having professional services conducted on our behalf. Many of those agreements contain language about the work product, the scope of the work, how much we're going to pay for it, and who owns the work once it's done. Without those things, we could be subject to litigation if things were held up, the reports weren't on file. It's just good business practice to ensure that these agreements are in place before any work is completed.
You had a question, Mayor Pro Tem?
Madam Mayor, thank you. I have a quick question. So this guy has all the proper qualifications. He's licensed. He's got degrees. He's an engineer. He has all the proper things that would allow him to do the things that he's doing for us.
We checked his qualifications. I was not the person who engaged this service, although I did engage with him on some other of the MS4 permits. We have not found a record that he's a currently licensed engineer. He's been in the industry for a long time. Our records, his website doesn't indicate his credentials, but he has submitted work for us on our behalf and is well known in the industry. And you know, that's about as far as we can ascertain. He's not here, so I don't know. I mean, we can't find any qualifications, but ultimately the water board has accepted his previous report. So I mean, that's pretty much all the information I have. I mean, clearly he has some qualifications, and to do it, I can't tell you directly what those are.
Councilmember Kaskanian, you had a question?
Yes, Madam Mayor, thank you. Mr. City Manager, so up until the termination of this contract or no contract, this person was representing tax environmental. They were doing their job with no problems, and the city was moving forward with it. I mean, all the reports and everything was done.
Well, as you know, we're in litigation with the MS4 permit, and he did provide assistance with the litigation and the inspection services. I can't speak to what his work was before, just within my year here. The scope of work that he has done was assistance with MS4 litigation, to this is my knowledge, and the completion of a required report, which is essentially what this bill is for. For the sense of transparency, we did have disagreements about this report, and which highlighted the issue of who owns what and who owns what data, and we did make an agreement so that we could submit the report on time, that we would pay for his services. We did not have a lot of time nor a lot of options, so it'd be my recommendation that, you know, despite how difficult this may be, it'd be appropriate to approve the payment with the extraction of those meetings that we did not authorize or ask for.
And previous council, they were aware about all these things, or they were not?
I don't think so.
No? Thank you.
Okay. Councilmember Medina.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. From my recollection, going back 10 years, he was responsible for a lot of us saving money with regards to some of the recommendations he had, and you'll agree because you were under the auspices of then manager Mitch Lansdale. And I think one of the reasons why there was no contract is because I guess between them, the word was their bond, and everything was done appropriately and much cheaper than other consultants that you would probably reach now. The point is that services were rendered, and there was no backdoor things going on as far as that's concerned. And I agree totally with eliminating the South Bay COG meetings because they were not appropriate to the city of Gardena. But as far as my experience of his involvement with the city of Gardena, he has brought up things to our city to save money more so than the other way around. And you were witness to that when you were working with Mr. Lansdale as far as that was concerned. And I'm going to vote in favor of paying him for what he did. Thank you.
Yeah, in response, I really don't have a point of reference on whether or not, you know, the services that he provided in the past, because when I was the director of the Public Works and Community Development, my experience was limited to his inspection, which is the only agreement we've ever had in place. Once again, the issue has come forward. We have found where the gaps in our process has been and our securing of proper agreements before we engage consultants. And ultimately, the payment for the submission of the report is appropriate. And we have learned a valuable lesson moving forward, ensuring all our paperwork and agreements are in place. So that would be my position would be to approve the invoice as requested, subject to the elimination of those other fees.
I think it's great that, in moving forward now, we recognize our mistakes and making sure we don't go backwards and do this again. But my concern is the fact that it sounds like he was not turning over our information to us until we paid him, kind of like holding it hostage. Would that is that about right?
There was some very tense conversations about the need to submit this report and a discussion about timing, and our backs were sort of to the wall in terms of getting these reports done. I certainly did not want to incur fines on behalf of the city for failing to submit those reports. So, yeah, in a sense, we had little options. Moving forward, we're looking at all of our options, engaging a variety of different people who do this work, evaluating their credentials, and we're going to select the best service provider to provide the service moving forward.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? If not, is there a recommendation to authorize payment?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second, I want this to go away.
Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Councilmember Medina and a second by Councilmember Henderson. Will you call the roll?
Councilmember Medina.
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Tanaka.
No.
Councilmember Cascanian.
No.
Mayor Serta.
No. Okay, moving on to item number 8D1. Mr. City Manager.
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, agenda number 8E1 is approve disadvantaged business enterprise goal for federal fiscal year 2019 and through 21. Before we go through the details of this agenda item, we will have a presentation which is required by Dana Pinn from G-Trans.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Becky, is there something you need to mention? One moment just for that.
Are we not reading the recreation item? 8D1, Resolution 6337.
I'm sorry.
E1.
We skipped that. We can take that after this presentation if that's okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. I meant 8D1 versus however you want to do it. It's either fine.
Let's complete this and we'll go back to 8D1.
Getting all set up here. Good evening, Madam Mayor, City Council, and Mr. City Manager. My name is Dana Pinn, and I'm the Administrative Officer for G-Trans. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to come before you this evening to discuss and present our DBE goal and methodology for this evening. What is a DBE? A disadvantaged business enterprise is defined as a for-profit small business concern with at least 51% ownership by one or more individuals who are both socially and economically disadvantaged, including minorities and women, which is certified to meet all requirements under 49 CFR Part 26, including business size, ownership, and personal net worth of up to $2.3 million. In order to receive official DBE designation, businesses must become certified. Locally, there are 3 official certifying agencies, which include the City of Los Angeles, Caltrans, and the Los Angeles County Metropolitan Transportation Authority, or Metro. G-Trans actually provides links to becoming certified on our website. As a recipient of federal funds, G-Trans is required to have and submit to the FTA a DBE program, which consists of 4 elements. First is the actual program document, which details G-Trans plans to ensure non-discrimination in the award and administration of FTA-assisted contracts. It also includes our plans to create a level playing field on which DBEs can compete fairly for FTA-assisted contracts, and our efforts to help remove barriers to the participation of DBEs in FTA-assisted contracts. The second element is the goal-setting methodology, where G-Trans is required to set a triennial goal for its expenditures, and we're going to be discussing that this evening. Next is a monitoring and oversight component, which occurs with the FTA Office of Civil Rights. And finally, we're required to do semi-annual reporting where we report to the FTA any expenditures made with DBEs during the prior 6-month period. GTrans is required to set a goal every 3 years on federally assisted contracts, with the exception of preventative maintenance and bus purchases, as transit vehicle manufacturers must meet DBE requirements directly with the FTA. The goal can be amended and must be concurred with by the FTA Office of Civil Rights. And the goal must also reflect a determination of the level of DBE participation that GTrans would expect absent the effects of discrimination. As you can see here, GTrans' goal for federal fiscal year 2016 through 2018 was 5%. Unfortunately, we weren't able to achieve that goal for the past 3-year period. While there's no penalty for not achieving the goal, GTrans must complete its own analysis of why it fell short. And GTrans determined its non-achievement to be due both to significant shortages in staff during that period, which affected our ability to apply for grant funds to spend on projects, and a lack of procurement staff with the expertise to issue solicitations and spend existing grant funds. The small amount of federal funds that we did spend on older grants consisted mostly of purchases of engines and other equipment for which there were limited opportunities for DBE participation. Going forward, GTrans is hopeful that we now have staff and funding in place to attract DBEs to compete for our projects. Furthermore, GTrans has cultivated opportunities with other transit agencies to jointly promote our projects and DBEs to businesses. And using Planet Bids, our new e-procurement software to complete our solicitation, we have immediate access to a greater number of DBEs, which help provide more exposure for our projects. Ultimately, though, we're working to do better at outreaching to DBEs for our projects. In creating our goal for federal fiscal years 2019 through 2021, we began by looking at our available federal capital funding and capital project plan for the next 3 years. As you'll recall, at the last council meeting, GTrans asked for your approval to apply for over $17 million in 2 grant applications. The bulk of that funding, or just under $10 million, is programmed towards bus purchases, which are actually excluded from DBE goal calculation. Also excluded is the roughly $4.5 million in preventative maintenance activities, which are performed by GTrans' own staff. And that leaves approximately $3 million in federal funds to be spent on projects such as the ones listed here. Once we know how much we have to spend and projects we plan to undertake, we look at the number of DBE firms that are ready, willing, and able to perform on our contracts. To determine this, we used Caltrans' database of certified DBEs in categories that best reflected the work to be undertaken in these projects. We compared them to the overall number of firms available, and we used the market areas of Los Angeles, Riverside, Orange, and San Diego counties to best reflect the wide area of prospective bidders. Our completed calculation provided an overall DBE goal of 5.66% during the next 3 federal fiscal years. And once we developed the goal, in accordance with our DBE program, GTrans did outreach and solicited input on the goal and methodology. Outreach included a public consultation meeting at its offices on July 17, 2018, and a presentation to the City of Gardena's Economic Business Advisory Council, or GBAC, on July 18, 2018. Notification of the public consultation meeting was provided to over 120 chambers of commerce located in the Los Angeles, Riverside, Orange County, and San Diego areas. Public notice was also posted at City Hall and on its website, the Nakaoka Center, the library, at GTrans, and on our website. And there were no comments on the proposed overall goal or its methodology. If approved this evening, the next step is to submit our proposed goal to the FTA by August 1st, 2018 for FTA concurrence. This concludes my presentation, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Dana, can you please provide the council an explanation of what were the challenges that GTrans faced meeting the goals, specifically the leadership and the limited opportunities to engage DB?
Sure. As you may be aware, in the last 3 years, we underwent a management change and a significant staff shortage. And what that essentially did was kind of hindered us from being able to spend our dollars, which immediately doesn't allow you to use have DBE participation. So that was the first thing. And then the remaining money that we had was mostly preventative maintenance, which is not included in DBE calculation because that's actually funding that we use to kind of help offset our maintenance operating costs. So I think there was roughly during the last 3 period, we spent $8.2 million total federal funds, and 7.2 or 7.8 was preventative maintenance. So there was just a really small fraction of funding that was even available, and the purchases that we made with those funds were mostly equipment. And when you have, when you're trying to get DBE participation, what you want are contracts that have a lot of subcontracts, because mostly when we're spending these dollars, they're big companies, and they don't often meet DBEs at the root level. But when you're looking at maybe installation of something that one of these vendors will sub it out to an installer, they might be DBE. So those bigger projects, which you saw up there were our CNG station, that may have some good opportunities to provide DBEs because there are a lot of different components. But with the purchases that we made in the past 3 years, at such a small amount, we bought things like engines, drive motors, we had a bus dryer, some couplings. Those aren't really good opportunities for DBE participation. So as I mentioned, you're not penalized for not meeting the goal, but you do have to do analysis to show why you didn't meet the goal and how you will plan to proceed to try to meet the next goal.
Okay, did you have something before we go to questions?
Yes, and for the council's understanding, that G-Trans did present this DB goals at the GBAC, the last GBAC meeting for information and feedback from the GBAC members.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Henderson?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In regards to the actual task of a project, do we define what the subcomponents of a project are, or do we let the prime decide what the subcomponents of a project are?
It kind of depends on the project. So if you, for example, we just went out to bid for automated passenger counters, and we define the scope of we want it to look like this, we want it to do these things, and then it's the bidder's responsibility to decide if they can complete that in-house or if they sub out some of the components. And in this case, we had, they subbed out the installation. So they had a local firm, incidentally, that was trying to become a DBE but didn't make it, so they don't end up counting. But that's how they would do it. It's dependent on the bidder and what their preferences and how they want to get the job done at a reasonable price that would be competitive.
Would it be more prudent for us to maybe decide that we encourage the primes to, whenever possible, to really look for the subcontractors versus letting them decide on, well, we couldn't find anybody, so maybe provide them with a list of potentials, or how would we do that?
Well, we actually, as anytime we do a federal solicitation, we are required to include provisions and clauses that do exactly what you're saying. We encourage DBE participation. G-Trans and the City of Gardena are interested in DBE participation, so we encourage them to do that. We can't require it. That's not the type of goal that we have. But we certainly, we include all of that information, and then we require the contractor to fill out forms if they do have DBEs. So it's in there. The federal government actually requires that we include it.
One other thing. So in regards to the scoring, when we get the responses to our bids, and they do adhere to the federal guidelines, in our scoring, do we add a extra half star if you can find a DB firm, or?
Unfortunately, we're not allowed to do that. You can't give extra credit. All the firms have to compete equally, and it depends on the project. If it's an invitation for bid, it's low bid. If it's a RFP, you require, you put out front, your qualifications, your past experience, things like that. But you're not allowed to give credit or special, special dispensation for someone that is a DBE. I think secretly we hope that they are, of course, but you're not able to do that, unfortunately.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments at this time? Was there anything else, Mr. City Manager, you wanted to mention before we move forward?
No, Madam Mayor. What is recommended, the City Council approve the G-Trans fiscal year 2019 through 21 DBE goal and goal computation methodology as contained in Attachment A for final submittal to the FTA.
So let's just approve the MOU. So can I get a motion? We take a full council vote, right? Okay. Can I get a motion to approve the MOU?
So moved.
Second.
Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Councilmember Henderson and a second by Councilmember Cascanian. Will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Henderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Cascanian. Excuse me.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Tanaka.
Yes.
Councilmember Medina.
Yes.
Mayor Serta.
Yes. Okay, now we're going to go back to item number 8D1. Mr. City Manager.
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, agenda item 8D1 is resolution number 6337, which is an approval of an amendment number 2 to local agreement number CCTR-7077 with the California Department of Education fiscal year 2017-18. Staff recommends the City Council approve the amendment number 2 to local agreement 7077 and adopt resolution number 6337 authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute the agreement with the California Department of Education, which has been approved as to form by the city attorney. The amendment provides additional funding for the Gardena Family Child Care Program and increases the current contract by $20,000 from $2,052,525 to $2,072,525. This reflects a one-time temporary transfer of contract funds from 2017-18 to provide child care services for additional children. The Gardena Family Child Care provides quality educational subsidized child care in licensed family child care homes in Gardena and bordering cities. Services provided are to low-income families whose parents are employed in the school or training, seeking employment, or are incapacitated and require assistance. The additional revenue of $20,000 from the Department of Education for the Family Child Care Program will add $20,000 to the program. What is required is to adopt resolution number 6337 and approve the local agreement number CCTR 77 with the California Department of Education.
Okay, thank you. Does any member of the council have any questions or comments at this time? If not, can I get a motion to adopt resolution number 6337?
So moved.
Second.
Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Tanaka and a second by Councilmember Cascanian. Will you call the roll, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Tanaka.
Yes.
Councilmember Cascanian.
Yes.
Councilmember Medina.
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson.
Yes.
Mayor Serta.
Yes. Before we move on to the next item, I just want to thank Dana for that great presentation on us understanding what a DBE is. So thank you again for that. Item number 9A1, which is a verbal report. Councilmember Henderson, do you mind doing that during your closing remarks? Okay, okay. Okay, sounds good. Thank you. Next up, excuse me, item number 9B is the council directives. Do we have any directives at this time? Councilmember Henderson.
Not really a directive, just a question. Somebody asked me, for our Human Services Department, do we have a food pantry or give out food vouchers? I was just curious.
Yes, we do.
How stocked is it or frequent?
Well, I don't know exactly how stocked it is, but there are, services available for those in need. There's gift cards for local, grocery stores, as well as they carry food on hand.
Okay. Councilmember Cascanian.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. City Manager, I don't know, this is directive or I received a few text messages from a residents. They live on 149th Street and Van Ness. They said that every time they travel eastbound on 149th and they approach Western Avenue, it's very difficult for them to make that right turn or the left turn, because on the northwest corner, sometimes they park cars or vans and even trucks sometimes. And if they try to sneak out and look if any cars coming southbound on Western Avenue, it's too late. Either they are, in a traffic collision or almost. So is there any way we can see if we can do like red zone or any other traffic study?
We'll have city staff go out there and look at the visibility and see if some of the times that could be mitigated by just allowing a bigger buffer from the intersection. And it does reduce a little bit of parking, but there's not a huge parking issue in that area.
That's all. Thank you.
Any others? Okay, Councilmember Medina.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I don't know if we can go back to when Mitch was here and we were having that issue with 169th and Gramercy. I remember we replaced a stop sign there, but we were in touch with the people from Torrance. I don't know if those people are still there, but they were supposed to pave that whole street from 169th to Artesia, and nothing's happened. And the people in the general vicinity are asking, because ironically enough, the property belongs to Torrance, not to Gardena. So
Yeah,
I'd like to follow up on that.
Absolutely. We'll follow up with the city of Torrance and see what their schedule is for the paving on Gramercy.
Could you keep me in the loop on that?
Absolutely.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Councilmember Henderson.
I want to give a kudos out to city staff. I came in the Gardena Boulevard, and you can see where Torrance stops and we start with that smooth paved road right there. So I want to say that. So we should all tease the folks over in Torrance after this.
Any other directives at this time? If not, we're going to move on to the city manager's remarks regarding the directives and council items.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of the City Council. These are some follow-ups of items that came up in front of the City Council. In your package, you have a list of projects from the General Services Department, and if you take an opportunity to look through those projects, you can just see the amount of activity in our community and the investment. Some of them are already submitted, others are on the verge of submitting, but it's, I think, a good representation of the direction where our city is going. Next, there was a request to have a fireworks forum, and it is being advertised. The fireworks forum is scheduled for Monday, July 30th, 2018, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. right here in the City Council. Chief Kang and his staff will be there to engage the community. Following that, we will be submitting a report to the City Council about the comments, as well as our annual fireworks report that talks about the activity and the things that we did over the 4th of July. Next, Gardena Dodger Day is coming up. It is Sunday, August 5th. It starts at 1:10. Reserve level tickets are $20. All you can eat pavilion is $45, and field level is $50. There are no refunds. You can also reserve a seat for transportation. I don't know who they're playing, but I forgot. But if you're interested, it's on our website to look at that. Kelly, can you tell me who's playing? They're playing the Astros. There you go. The National Night Out community event is coming soon, August 7th. It's from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. as we traditionally do. We will be partnering with Target at 2169 Redondo Beach Boulevard. We encourage our community to come out, get to know their public safety personnel, our police officers, and other community services that are available to them. Once again, it's August 7th from 7 to 9 p.m. At the Target. We will be having a re-grand opening of the Gardena One Stop. They did some improvements and expanding there. It is scheduled to take place August 23rd at 2 o'clock. Official invitations to all of the council and others will be forthcoming. As you know, the One Stop is at 16801 South Western Avenue. The sister city delegation is coming, and you have information on in your package about the delegation and their activities. It's going to be from August 2nd, Thursday through Thursday, August 9th, and we encourage our council members, if possible, to be engaged as much as possible with our visitors. You also have in your packages a significant improvement to our economic development packages. You can see some of the marketing that we're doing in Gardena, which I think is very, very important. We are still working, as a previous speaker had mentioned, about updating our tobacco ordinance, specifically targeting the flavored tobacco products and liquid tobacco products, and we should be bringing something forward with the council that will take quite a bit of time because we do need participation from community stakeholders, GDAP and ADAP, to get that moving. And that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you. So next we're going to move on to council remarks. We're going to begin tonight with Councilmember Medina.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Since our last meeting, I had the opportunity to welcome the Watabampo committee from our sister city, and it was a lot of fun. We met at the Elks Lodge, and they really enjoyed it, and I was very happy to participate in that. And some of the people that I've known for about 30 years are still in that committee, and the brother of the representative is now the mayor coming up. When is that date, when they become mayor? September. Yeah, he'll be mayor September. So it was really a lot of fun, and we're looking forward to the Ichikawa group coming in August. And that concludes. Well, I also got a chance to participate in the ice cream social on Nakaoka Community Center, and I got a chance to sit in with our own Public Works band, which is a lot of fun. And that is my report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next up is Councilmember Cascanian.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Since our last meeting, I attended the farewell dinner party for the Sister City Watabampo delegation. It was a great food, great music. It was a great event. Very nice organized. Thank you, Kelly and the staff, for that great farewell party. Since our last meeting again, Madam Mayor, I attended the G-Trans Employees Appreciation Date, and congratulations to the employees that they received their certificates. Great job. Keep up the good work. And I was present. The Assembly member Mike Gibson visited the G-Trans. I was there too. He did tour the facility, and we had a bus ride with him. So he kind of wanted to know what we do and how it works. So I attended that event as well. And July 26th, Coffee with the Cups. I encourage everybody to attend the Coffee with the Cups. Actually, it's going to be on Thursday, July 26th at Wendy's, right? At Wendy's, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. So I'm going to be there. Please come on and meet your city officials and your local law enforcement personnel, and chit-chat and mingle with the residents. And on the same day, on the 26th, I think GJAP, they have a meeting coming up on corner of 162nd and Western. That's what I was told. And I would like to see if it's a public, if the public can come and go ahead. Oh, it's been canceled. Well, the meeting is still on. Okay. I see. All right. I'll take that back. And I would like to wish Madam Mayor happy birthday. That's end my report.
Thank you. It's coming up. Next up is Mayor Pro Tem Tanaka.
Madam Mayor. Let's see. So, Sister City Watabampo, our Elks Lodge, treated them to our fish fry on Friday, and then we also did the farewell on Sunday. And thank you, Kelly. Your staff did a great job as always. I was lucky enough to attend the installation of the Gardena Valley Lions Club, their de-installation and installation of new officers at the Holiday Inn with Madam Mayor. That was a very good event. We went to G-Trans employee recognition, and it was basically safe driving from 1 year up to 29 years of safe driving without an accident. And very proud of our bus drivers because they work hard. And if you were on the bus ride with Assemblyman Gibson, you know what they have to go through, what they have to drive through, and the conditions. So congratulations to all your staff on that awards. Let's see, I think that's pretty much it, Madam Mayor. I'm done.
Okay, thank you very much. For myself, I think I pretty much attended all the same things that everybody else did as well, but I'm just going to go through it very quickly here. So I too also attended the fish fry at the Elks Lodge with our Watabampo group and had a great time. And along with that, I'd like to encourage people to support our local Elks Lodge. Every second and fourth Friday, they have a fish fry there, which is like $10 or $11, and it's a great opportunity to just kind of stay in the city, support a local organization, and they dance all night long. In fact,
And if you're lucky enough, you'll get to see the mayor dance.
they'll teach you how to do the waltz, the foxtrot, all of those great dances there, which were a lot of fun. So it's a great place to be on a Friday night and to be in your local city there. But that was one of the events that we had a great time with the delegation from the Watabampo group. I too also attended the tour with Assemblymember Mike Gibson through G-Trans, and I just want to thank our G-Trans employees here for doing such a great job. It was a really great tour. I like the marketing material that you put together for our assembly member. He was very, very impressed with that. In fact, I didn't even know some of that information. I thought I knew everything about G-Trans, but it was really great, and I'm glad that so many of my colleagues had the opportunity to come along as well too. I mean, I think that's just a great representation that we show our assembly members how well we as a council participated in tours like this and how well we work together as well. I also attended the Lions Club, the 95th installation of their new president along with Mayor Pro Tem Tanaka as we welcomed in their new president and thank their outgoing president, Ms. Sheila Dorshow, for doing such a great job over the past year. And then also I attended in the city of Bellflower the grand opening of the LA County Firefighters Museum. It was a great day out there. It was extremely hot, but they had all of the old fire engines from the beginning of time and gave great demonstrations on how they pump water out through these steam engines. And it was great rides for little kids to get on little mini fire engines. They showed demonstrations of pumping water out, how to use some of the heavy equipment there, had their young fire explorers there just to encourage young people that they too can be firefighters as they get older. And it was a really great day out there as well. I also attended the farewell dinner for the delegates from Watabampo. And again, I want to thank my colleagues for all of you guys being there too. Again, great representation to our sister city there. And then I also too attended the G-Trans Employee Appreciation Day as well too. And for myself, that ends my remarks.
Did you go to somebody's dinner?
I'm sorry?
You didn't go to the mayor's dinner?
I did. I'll mention it later. And then that ends my remarks. Next up is Councilmember Henderson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My report's kind of lengthy, but I'll cut it down. I did thank you for recognizing us all at the Watabampo dinner. That was actually great dinner. The food was catered by Cherry Stones. Great food I hadn't had before, so it was actually great. Since our last meeting, I participated in the State Water Project with the Metropolitan Water District to look at the California fix issue with the Delta and everything. So I got an education on that. They gave me an honorary doctorate of water, so that was pretty good. I also participated in a discussion in regards to small cell tower legislation moving forward. And the reason why that was so interesting to me is that as a community, we got to make sure we take control as much as we can of our airspace and our aesthetics and everything within our community, because as 5G and 6G and whatever G they come up with moving forward, they're going to want to kind of saturate our communities with all these cell towers. So I was just kind of looking ahead at that to make sure that we stay in control of that, but it's still a ways off. Also, I was at the Independent Cities Association conference in Carlsbad, and the title of the conference was Cities Leading the Future. As president-elect, I was worked in collaboration with all my board members in regards to the topics that we were actually going to present at the summer seminar. So as president-elect of the organization, we were real integral about having topics that are real relevant to city leaders, not just the elected leaders, but also city staff. And we have 2 seminars a year. Our winter seminar is always held in Santa Barbara. We which has as a focus on public safety. So I definitely want to encourage my colleagues to come at that one. And the summer seminar is always on a plethora of topics. Some of the topics we talked about day one started off with a bang. It was in regards to drone ordinances. That was actually a very educational session in regards to drones and which cities in our area are using drones and how drones can be helpful as a force multiplier for law enforcement and public safety and keeping our communities safe. So that's something that we should definitely look out for. As there was a case study done by the city of Culver City, and the cities of Manhattan Beach and Redondo Beach are also moving into drone support for their public safety. So actually, that's something that we should probably take a look at, see if it's the feasibility for our community. The next session, pension reform. That was a highly attended session because, as we all know, pensions for public sector agencies are going to be a challenge moving forward. So we were getting some helpful tips and tricks on how we can kind of deal with our unfunded liability as a public sector agency and everything. Again, nobody has the perfect answer for it, but at least it's on everybody's radar to discuss that. Session 3 was our Emergency Operations Center, how the county actually sets up their Emergency Operations Center LA County-wide, and it was definitely suggested that because we have so many certified folks in our community and everything, and I have to get certified again as well, that during a major emergency, support services and everything may take a while to get there, so we're on our own. So we talked about what happens, how it gets staffed at the county level, at the city level, and in case of a disaster, how a disaster is declared and where our funding can come from and what procedures we should take as an elected body. Our lunchtime speaker spoke on homelessness and an update on Measure H. It was pretty moving and everything in regards to some of the funding and different things like that. I asked a question. As we all know, homelessness has a foray into mental health issues and different things like that. Here in Gardena, we have our own MET team, but we share our MET team with a neighboring city. So I'm looking in, and I definitely want to encourage my colleagues to figure out how we can have our Gardena MET team, because an incident can happen at any time, and if that person is being tasked somewhere else, then we lose that resource. So we have to figure out how we kind of get our own resources. Session 4, government-owned networks, the benefits and challenges. What that means is basically some cities have decided to, I don't want to say supplement or supplant, but actually replace probably their cable company in their community. So they're actually having a city-run infrastructure for fiber and different things like that. So the cities that are doing it are a little bit more affluent than us right now, Beverly Hills, Santa Monica, the West Side cities, but it's something that we're looking at the South Bay COG. We're discussing a regional fiber type network that we can look at to kind of allay some of the city costs. Our city manager was in attendance at this conference. I was hoping that you learned quite a bit. Mr. City Manager, we had a chance to hang out and kind of share a little bit. The second day, we talked with City of Downey, and they did a case study on their urban planning, which is kind of apropos to some of the development that we have in our city. Development is good. We want to make sure that the communities participate in our development, but we also want to talk about the changes that come along with new developments and how we can actually work along with that. Session 6 was community choice aggregation, was the opportunity for a lot of communities to opt into a choice in regards to their power distribution and who gives them their power. So that's still something of a debate. City of Gardena, we have not joined any CCA yet. A lot of our neighboring cities have joined. They're trying to peer pressure us, but I tell them we kind of like to make our own decisions. The lunch speaker was very thought-provoking. It was Miss Kat Packer. She's the cannabis czar for the city of Los Angeles, and she really enlightened the entire crowd in regards to cannabis, new laws coming down. And as a city, I know right now we have a zero tolerance, but we need to really go back and look at that to make sure that if that's going to be our stance, that we tighten it up, because as new laws come along, it's going to be hard for us to maintain our local control. So again, that's a topic that we need to kind of look at, whether we're for or against, but we need to at least maintain our own control. Another panel was the economics of future of energy. Kind of fell asleep at that one. It was a long day. And then we did some training for workplace harassment and discrimination training for the elected officials that hadn't had that training. I've had that training, so we're okay with that. Also at that event, I was actually president-elect. I was nominated as the president of the Independent Association. So for those that don't know, Independent Cities Association is a consortium of 40 cities throughout LA County, and what we work on is education and leadership training for elected officials. So I've been nominated and elected as the president. We want to hold our installation office here in the city of Gardena sometime in the fall. It's an honor. I'm humbled by being a leader in this organization. I think it's great that Gardena is leading in a lot of these organizations that we belong to, so that's a good thing. So we got to continue to lead from the front. And this past Sunday, I was at the Hyperloop competition at SpaceX, where all these schools from around the world were competing at SpaceX for their Hyperloop competition. The Germans won. But while we were there, I was talking to some ops managers and employees at SpaceX, and they talked about housing. So it's on everybody's mind in regards to housing in the region and what happens there and everything. But I did encourage everybody to always come eat their food in Gardena because we have so many restaurants. Madam Mayor, that ends my report. I'll give everybody the lowdown in regards to when the installation will be. I definitely want to invite all my colleagues for the installation in my presidency. Thank you.
Well, thank you. We really got our money's worth sending you to the ICA conference. Absolutely. Thank you. Great job. We move on to announcements. Mayor Pro Tem, you had a quick announcement?
Yes, for those that are still here, we're going to celebrate the mayor's birthday, and we have a cake in the back, so join us after the meeting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Just a couple of quick announcements. Most of them were already mentioned earlier today regarding the fireworks forum, National Night Out, and the Gardena One Stop. Coffee with a Cop, definitely want to encourage everyone to come out to that this coming Thursday, July 26th. It's going to be at our Wendy's at 17420 Southwestern Avenue from 5 to 7 p.m. And also, we still have our active shooter response seminar, which will be August the 11th from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. And then they have a second class from 12:30 to 2:30. My understanding is this class fills up really quick. You definitely have to RSVP for the class. It's a really good class to attend as well. So tonight we're going to move on to our remembrances. Tonight we're going to adjourn in memory of Mrs. Coco Nishi, who was 96 years old, a longtime resident of Gardena and Torrance area, who was very active in the Gardena Buddhist Church, where she taught the Urasenki tea ceremony for over 20 years. She is survived by her 2 sons, 2 daughters, 8 grandchildren, and 10 great-grandchildren. So now we're going to adjourn. The Gardena City Council meeting will adjourn to our next regularly scheduled City Council meeting, which will be at 7 p.m. on Tuesday, August 14, 2018. We are adjourned.